everyone, thank you for joining me here today on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing this one layer card, love themed and very cute, and the stamps I'm going to be using in today's video are the Simon Says Stamp Quilted Heart background stamp, Cozy Christmas by clearly Besotted, Cool Cats by My Favourite Things, and this Love scripty die. So I've already gone ahead and cut out my masks, and I've got some Copic friendly cardstock here in my Misti. This is a mini Misti, and I'm just laying down those masks just to help me get a guide or a visual of how my card is sort of going to look when it's all stamped out. So this can help start where I can start with my stamps and which ones are going to go in the front. So the two elements that I want to be in the front are the cats in the basket and the food bowl. So I'm going to stamp those first. I've got some Memento Tuxedo black ink here, and I'm just inking those up a couple of times just to get a nice dark impression. I've gone ahead now and removed the backing on the masking paper. I'm just carefully smoothing those down, making sure everything's nicely lined up and isn't overlapping the stamped out images. Next I'm going to go in with the Fireplace and just ink that up and pressing that down nice and firmly. I did need to do a few impressions. It did go a little bit patchy. I think this is because it's a brand new stamp. I haven't used it before. And once I'm happy with that, I then stamp out the little fishbowl. This didn't, the Fireplace didn't need masking for this part of the card, but I do need to mask off both the Fireplace and the fishbowl because I'm going to do some ink blending on the background. So I've gone ahead and masked everything up. And this is going to be my, I think they're called baseboards in the US. I'm not sure, but in the UK, I call them skirting boards. This is just the piece of the flooring that breaks up the floor and the carpet or tiles or whatever flooring you might have. So just cut a strip of masking paper for that, and then just popped a little bit of post-it tape over what will be the carpet. So now I've taken some Spun Sugar Distress ink and I'm just inking up very slowly and gently a very pale pink background. Just working my way across all of that background area, just slowly building up the colour, being careful not to be too heavy-handed with the masks. But this is the background I was going for. This is what inspired me to buy the Simon Says Stamp background stamp in the first place. I'm hoarding this paper for pretty much years, and when I saw this stamp I knew I had to have it. So I've got my Holtz Stamp Platform here. This is the large version. I've popped that into the stamping tool, and then I'm just using my Spun Sugar Distress ink again just to get that nice pretty background onto the, it's going to be the wallpaper I guess. But that means I can carry on hoarding my pretty paper and I can use this stamp instead, and it is super pretty. So I've got my background there, and now I'm peeling off that post-it tape, and now I can work on my flooring, which is going to be inked up with iced spruce. Again, just being really careful not to go over that masked piece that I've got. I was being a bit careful. I should have probably masked off just above that piece of skirting board. But I just used the edge of my blending tool to ink up that flooring, and there you can see everything's starting to slowly take shape. So now I mask off the flooring with some post-it tape, and again just pop another little bit of post-it tape above where the baseboards, skirting boards are going to go. This is antique linen that I start with, so I wanted it to look like wood. So just gently putting a little bit of that down, and then to add a bit of shading I have used my vintage photo just in the areas next to the Fireplace. Just trying to get a nice smooth blend from one colour to the next. Just being very light-handed. And peeling off that post-it tape, and you'll see everything sort of starts to come together a little bit more now. So using a craft knife being careful not to damage the paper underneath. I'm just lifting up those masks, and hopefully you'll be able to see the scene come together. So I was happy with how that turned out. And now I can move on to the Copic colouring. So I've listed all of the colours I've used here on the screen. And I have sped the colouring up quite considerably. There is quite a lot of colouring. It did take me about an hour, I think, to colour these images. And I've had the Cool Cat stamp set in my stash for a good number of months, probably since about May, maybe even before that. And I just haven't got around to using them. And I'd had this idea for a card in my head for a while. And then once I got that Simon Says stamp, background stamp, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with them. It's just finding the time to make the cards. So now I'm just using some warm greys for my cat there. And giving him some little pink cheeks and pink ears. But using a more grey toned pink for that. I think that's the RV sort of 91, 93, those sorts of colours. Moving on to my little ginger cat. Using some YRs for the fish and some B60 for the water in the fishbowl. And then I left the fireplace till last because I really wasn't sure about how I was going to colour it. It is quite a large area, and if you follow me on my channel, you'll know that maybe large areas of Copic colouring are quite daunting. So I just took it step by step. So I used some cool greys for that interior part of the fireplace where the actual fire is. And then just some YRs and Y markers for the actual flames. So I wasn't too sure what colours at first to do for the fireplace, but I decided to use some E40s, and I just really roughly sketched out where I was going to put the shadows. It really was quite rough. You can't see, I'm a bit too far away, but I just got some colour down. I wanted it to look like stone, and then once I had all that colour down, I then went in and just added a bit more detail, made everything look a little bit neater. But I didn't want it to be perfect because I wanted it to look used and a little bit worn. But I was happy with how it turned out at the end. And the colour I used, I was quite happy with. And I'm just popping a bit of E30 markers for the top of the mantle on the fireplace. And then once all the colouring was done, I put some glossy accents all over the fishbowl. Went in with my Nouveau shimmer pen for the bow tie and the cat's blanket in the basket. And then I did go back in and pop some glossy accents on the cat bowl. And then I'm just adding some dots here to the cat blanket just to give a little bit more interest. And I put a bit more glossy accents on his bow tie as well, just to make him pop. So for my sentiment, I have taken this Love Scripty die. I got this in a local shop here in the UK. I'm sure there's lots out there that you could use. But I wanted an ombre coloured Love Scripty die cut. So I used my RV markers again, the same ones that I used for the cat's basket blanket and his bow tie. And once I was happy with the blend that I got, I cut out that Copic inked up piece along with 2 pieces of pink cardstock, and I'm just going to layer everything up. So here I'm just using my glue pen just to add some dots of glue all over the pink pieces of cardstock. These are just some pieces that I had in my stash, just some leftover pink bits of cardstock. I like to use them all up if I can, and then just popping that Copic coloured piece on the top. And just pinching all of the edges, just getting everything to stick together and be a lot more sturdy. And pop up off the card front a little. So now I'm taking some sentiments out of the Cool Cat stamp set. I use my Love die just to help me get some placement. I'm using my embossing buddy there. I've masked off the rest of the stamp and I just want the word or the letter I. So just go ahead and stamp that down. And then I pop the die, the scripty die back in on top of the card, just to help me get the placement of the Mew. Pop some clear embossing powder all over those inked up words and letters. I use Versafine Onyx black ink for those, and then I use my multimedia matte just to secure down that love word. Pop some double-sided adhesive on the back of the card panel and secure that down to an A2 sized card base. I did get a little ink splotch on the left hand side, and I did use my sand eraser to remove that. And then I use again my Nuvo shimmer pen all over the scripty word and pop some glossy accents all over it as well. Give it a really nice shine. And there is my card for today complete. I really hope you enjoyed that card tutorial. If you did, please give it a like. Maybe consider subscribing if you enjoy my content, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.